Moon here? Nope. Heck, nope. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So for today, again, we're doing activity 2A, and so we have some quick notes on exploring solutions for climate change. So on activity 1A, you guys looked at the southeastern forests and kind of what's going on a little bit there, and why the southeastern forest is important. And then you guys looked at a little bit of history with the walkthrough climate timeline activity, and you kind of got an idea of what's going on historically. And the whole point of that activity was just to reinforce the idea that we've known about this for a really long time. And for literally 200 years. We've known about global warming, we've known about greenhouse effect, we've known about carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, we've known about fossil fuels not being great for the atmosphere, we've known about ocean taking in carbon dioxide, we've known about all this stuff about 200 years. And so again, when we either A, deny it, you're denying 200 years of science, or B, we keep passing the buck on like, oh, we'll worry about it later, we'll worry about it later. You're pushing this into 250, 300 years down the road. You got to imagine your future generation are not going to be happy about that. They're going to be like, you've known about this forever, and then you flame it on us, and we're not allowed to drive cars because you've known about this for 300 years. So you can imagine that kind of stuff is going to cause future problems. And again, not just your grandkids and stuff like that, but the future politicians and stuff. We look like, why didn't the president in 2000 do something? So there's, again, the solution is very difficult. It is, and it's going to change our life. But again, we might have to change later if we don't do anything about it now. So some solutions, and I'll try to present this. Hopefully you guys can still see all this. So there are two basic ways to tackle climate change. The first one is mitigation. And you've heard me say this word a couple times. So mitigation means to stop what you're doing and fix it right now. That's mitigation. So to use a good example, the pandemic. The pandemic is a great example of mitigation. We stopped what we were doing. We stopped teaching. We shut down the economy. We shut down everything. We, only the essential people were working. Everything stopped, and we had to deal with the pandemic right now. Okay, and it took a year, roughly. We're still at school today, or still at home today, learning. It took a year, but that's a good example of mitigation. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but scientists have been predicting pandemic outbreaks for years and years and years. It happens about every 10 to 20 years in human history anyway, that every now and then we get a really bad pandemic. And scientists have been talking for years about another global pandemic happening. And yet we still weren't prepared for this one to hit. Okay. So we have to mitigate. We have to stop right now and deal with it. Okay. The other option is to do what's called adaptation. Adaptation is just accepting the fact that it's going to happen and then figure out a solution for the future. So an adaptation would be something like, hey, there's probably going to be another pandemic in the future, like 20, 30, 50 years from now. What if we started doing research today to try to get a vaccine or whatever, and hope that in the future we can solve that problem? So that is kind of the adaptation for it. So the adaptation kind of also is the idea that, again, you're accepting that it's going to happen, and you're kind of already too late. And so what can we do to adapt to that situation when it happens? Okay. Mitigation typically is a stop and fix, and it is happening. Adaptation is something that you're kind of accepting is going to happen. So there are a lot of policy, a lot of action, but most of the policies, and we talked about this on Monday. The policies are going to come from typically from organizations such as the government. But again, the government can be international, national, state, local. And again, your community, you can get your local community involved in making policies that are, a little bit greener. Industries and businesses can make policies. If all the big businesses decided, hey, we're going to do this instead, people are going to listen. People are going to follow those people. Right? Um, Individuals can make policies and take action as well. All of us, we can all decide, hey, we're all going to start doing this. And again, with social media and the internet, it's so easy for us to actually all come together and, or at least not all of us, but a lot of people to come together and start doing something different. For example, the mask wearing, who would have thought a year ago that we were all going to be wearing masks in Kroger? And I know people are taking them off now, but if we wanted to, we can just keep wearing masks in public all forever, just for safety purposes. Again, I'm not saying I want to do that, but I'm saying we could decide to do that if we wanted to do that. Okay? We could also decide not to do that. Right? All right. So mitigation and adaptation, both strategies will cost human time and money. So I want you to take a minute on that worksheet. I want you to figure out your viewpoint. Should we spend money now to try to fix the problem, which is mitigation, or should we spend money later adapting, changing because of the problem? So take a minute on that worksheet, fill out that question, and then I want to start having a discussion with you guys. So I want to actually talk and turn on your microphones or type in a chat box and let's talk about this. So what's your viewpoint? Would you rather spend money now and fix it? Sorry, that's not the right thing. Or would you rather wait, spend money later? We gotta think. Type in chat box. Talk about it. Turn on your microphone. Everybody here? You could just type it in on that worksheet and just copy and paste it. Copy and paste your answer in chat box. Okay. Okay, interesting. So we got 3 people saying right now the mitigation right now. It could also cost less money, Nina. We don't know. It's in the future. That's an interesting idea, Jackson. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I don't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't have such a negative outlook on people. You would be surprised how many people know we should be doing things differently. You would be surprised how many people would do stuff if there was an incentive to do something. All right, so we got a couple answers there. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of been, yeah. All right. So again, I want to try to keep things positive as much as possible. Yes, of course, there's always going to be some people that are not going to listen, that are not going to do anything. Either way, you always can have your extreme people that are like extremely, we have to save the world. People like Greta Thunberg. She's a little bit of an extremist, but it's not a bad thing. Okay, we don't need to make fun of her for it. But then you're going to have people that are on the other side that are extremely no, 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 climate change, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But you'd be surprised how many people are in the middle and how many people know that we should be doing something. They might not know what to do. Just kind of like the whole idea of recycling. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that we should be recycling, and a lot of people do recycle, and that is a good first step, right? So you'd be surprised at how easy it really is to make people do what you want them to do, so to speak. Um, okay, that's an interesting take. So now we're talking about COVID here. All right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, so Matt, that brings up another good question now. So let's say COVID does go away, and we spent a lot of money on COVID. Let's say it does go away. We spent a lot of money today on COVID. Are we still going to want to spend money next year preparing for the next COVID? We already spent the money today. Do we want to spend more money later to get ready for the next one? And that's kind of the problem with climate change is that if we put money in it today and it still happens, are we going to want to keep throwing money into this? Um, I don't know. It's a very, very hard, difficult answers when it comes to climate change and global warming because it's going to cost money. It's as simple as that, and it's going to cost you and me and the government. It's going to cost all of us money. Um, Now, obviously, I'm going to be honest. People with more money, countries with more money, are going to be better off dealing with climate change and global warming. If you have enough money to let your beach house flood and you go build a house somewhere else, well then okay, so what? Right? It's not going to impact you very much, right? So what? I'm just gonna go build a new house. Okay, well, I wish I had that kind of money, right? Not everybody has that kind of money. So when they lose their house, what are the people going to do, right? Um, and that's a big issue right now is that people who don't have money don't want to spend money, obviously, right? And then people who have money aren't worried about it because they have money. And so you have this issue of this economic disparity when it comes to climate change, global warming. That oh man, it's going to cost money. Who's going to spend that money? Um, Now, there are things that we can do. We're going to talk more about this kind of stuff a little bit later on Friday. Is that there are incentives that we can give people. So, for example, let's say we wanted everybody to buy an electric car. I do think that's going to be the future. I think companies like Tesla, those type of things. I think electric cars are going to become much more popular in the next 10 years. They're expensive, so let's say we want everybody to buy electric cars. What could the government do to get everybody to buy electric cars? If the government wanted people to buy electric cars, what could the government do for the people? Yeah, I mean that's a good one. Yeah. Okay, so so that's an incentive for like, oh, I know I should buy. I don't have an electric car. I don't have a hybrid, right? Okay, that's a good idea too. Help build the infrastructure for it. I don't have an electric car. Um, okay, that's yeah. I guess you could do that too. No pressure against me. No paying the tax for us. I feel like I missed something that Landon said before. The government used to offer incentives if you were to buy an eco-friendly electric car. Um, it doesn't have to. I mean, that's a government thing. That's a government thing. Trying to, you doesn't have to. But, again, it's going to cost money. It's going to cost money to do that. Okay. Okay. So there are ways that you can get people to recycle, to drive electric cars, to cut down greenhouse gases. Um, there was one there was one just in the news the other day about people who travel or drive more pay more taxes. Okay, that will stink. Right? So people, if you drive more, you pay more taxes. Okay. Um, that will get people to drive less, right? But again, it's going to cost money. Um, and again, what again, it doesn't have to be the government either. It could be the car company. The car company could say, "Hey, listen, this is what we want to do. Instead of making a massive profit, we'll just take a normal profit and do this, do that." Again, it's going to cost people money. It's going to cost company money. It's going to cost government money. It's going to cost us money. Like that. Like that. I actually am doing more now. Actually, we actually do. That was a good one. There. That's another one we're going to talk about later. But yeah, so we actually, my wife and I and kid, we actually try to do meatless weekends now. So we try not to eat meat on the weekend. But I'm not perfect. I don't do it. I'm not all the time, but yeah. But I mean, yeah, a lot of things I don't do. I know that I could do better too. Yeah, so. All right. So, anyways, it's going to cost money, um, and a lot of people, even myself, a lot of people are passing a buck down the road, and the issue with doing that is, and somebody asked that earlier. I think it was Nina. What if it costs a lot more money later? You're right. What if we spent X amount of dollars today and it saved us a whole bunch of money in the future? But we can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen. Even with global warming, climate change, it's going up. Climate change, global warming is happening. There could be a volcanic eruption tomorrow, and we go into a volcanic winter for the next 100 years. We can't predict the future. Obviously, that's going to cause other problems besides climate change, global warming. But, so that's why a lot of people, they have question about, should I put money in it now or should we put money in it later? Because even if I do put money in it now, maybe I wasted all that money and I could save it for later. I mean, it's not easy. It's not an easy solution at all. And it's going to cost money, whether you save taxes by buying an electric car, or then they up your taxes to pay for your roads. If you want to drive an electric car and save money, but yet you want to drive on a nice flat road, you're going to have to pay for it, right? So, it's going to cost money in order to do these things. So just kind of be aware of that. It's not an easy solution at all for which one's going to cost more in the end. So that's the reason why both are options. We can mitigate and we can adapt to see whatever happens. And I think Kevin and Ben were kind of talking about that a little bit. And who knows? We don't know which one it is. All right. So I think this is the last slide that I want to cover for today. Is in order to identify a solution for climate change, and this is kind of what I want you guys to be thinking about for your project. And we're gonna talk more about that soon. There are basically 3 steps. The very first thing that you need to do in order to come up with a solution is that you and scientists and people, you need to figure out what is the future going to look like. If the future is going to look great, then we don't need a solution, right? Or a solution can be very minor if the future looks amazing. And I'll be honest with you, the future of Kentucky is probably going to be okay. We're not near an ocean. We have 4 seasons, so our seasons are just going to get a little bit warmer, right? So Kentucky is probably going to be okay. Now, the trees, the plants, the animals in Kentucky, they might change a little bit to be warmer animals, warmer plants, warmer birds, warmer stuff. But what about your family members that live in Arizona? What about your family members that live in California, where it feels great today, but in the future it's going to get really, really, really hot, And so again, in order to come up with a solution, you have to look at the local area and say, what is the future going to look like? If it keeps getting hotter in Kentucky, what's it going to look like, right? The next thing you have to figure out is, okay, what are the risks involved with different scenarios? Like, hey, if I do this, then this might happen. If I do this, this might happen, right? Then the last thing that you kind of do is decide on the most appropriate strategy based on the risk that you have, okay? And so, again, there is no one easy solution. You can't just say stop driving cars. Okay? Matter of fact, cars are really not that big of a deal when it comes to climate change. There are other things that we could solve. Cars are not helping, don't get me wrong. But, we could keep driving all the cars we wanted if we changed our power plants to stop using fossil fuels. Cars and transportation are not the biggest part of carbon dioxide releases. So there's a give and take. What if we solved this and we did this? Okay, we can keep driving cars. We can keep going on vacation. If we solve this problem, if we did this. So there are lots of different ways to tackle this. But very first thing you have to do is look at the future and be like, okay, if we do nothing, or based on the data, based on the information, what is the future going to look like? And we're going to look at this. We're going to look at that data next week. We're going to be like, in Kentucky, this is what scientists think Kentucky's going to be like in the future. But then we're going to be like, okay, are we okay with that? Are we not okay with that? Are we happy with this? Are we not happy with this? What type of things should we be doing? I don't want to give away too much for stuff in the future because it's kind of interesting to see what scientists think Kentucky's going to be like. You guys might not know exactly what scientists think Kentucky's going to be like, but it's not what a lot of people think of when they think about global warming, climate change. Obviously, hot places are going to get hot, but Kentucky's got 4 seasons, so what will happen to us? Okay. All right, that's pretty much the last slide I have for you guys. Then, just kind of show you how complicated the solution get. There's all kinds of things that we could do, and these are basically ideas that you could do at home and for your project, right? So, there's lots of stuff you can do here. Plant trees, eat less meat, use less, you don't use those plastic baggies. The plastic baggies are actually a little bit better than paper baggies. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff. Sometimes plastics are better than the other option. Green power, light bulbs, change light bulbs. Everybody should have been changing light bulbs already. If you're not using an LED light bulb yet, you're wasting a lot of money on your electric bill. Let alone just being green, you're just wasting money on your electric bill. Like a $10 light bulb saves you $100 over its lifetime, so that's just silly. Not using a dryer, use clotheslines. Again, do I want to live that lifestyle? Not really, but you could do that, right? Traveling, car. If you are going to use a car, use something that's fuel efficient, carpool, hybrid, electric, etc. Walk, bike, use public transportation. There's lots of different little things that we can do. I like to be a catalyst here. This is one about education, educating other people. Eating less meat, that is actually a big one. There's a lot of cows, a lot of chicken, there's a lot of pigs out there. There's a lot. And that's not normal for humans. We're not supposed to have that many cows out there. All right, so there are lots of different little things, and again, these are all things that you might want to think about for your community, your service learning project. Can you get everybody in your neighborhood to use a clothesline, or even just one day a week? One day a week, everybody uses the clothesline. Well, maybe, right? It wouldn't be that difficult. It'd be pretty easy. Heck, you can even probably buy the supplies, give it to everybody. Hey, here's the string, here's clothesline. Let's do this on Fridays. Right? So, anyways, for today, a couple of things on that handout. Don't worry about finishing that handout. We're going to finish it on Friday if we go back to the weekly schedule. We got some more 2A notes, and we're going to finish the 2A. So hopefully you got about half of it done, I think. Let's look at the worksheet real quick. So you guys should be like right here. You guys should be right in front of the possible solutions. So we did all this stuff up here, and then we will finish this up on Friday. This is an article right here, if you haven't read it yet. This article was written last week, and climate change happening already, So, all right, that's pretty much it for today. I appreciate you guys typing, writing stuff on there. Again, I love to have conversation about this. Again, part of being fun is being controversial about stuff. And also, just to kind of end the lesson, just because things are happening today, or just because corporations or governments or people are doing things a certain way today doesn't mean that they have to keep doing it that way. So especially when we talk about taxes and things like that, just because, if you say stuff like, well, if you don't use this, we don't get this. Well, let's change that. Let's do something else. So if you want to fix the roads up with taxes, tax my house, tax my electric car, or tax something different, right? So it doesn't always have to be that way. All right, that's it for me. I will see you guys in the classroom tomorrow. We are going to look at your weekly schedule. We are going to do a data representation tomorrow of your 50 results, and I'll kind of show you guys how to do that tomorrow. So, all right, that's it for me. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later.
You too, bud.
See you guys.